very good evening and welcome. You're watching the India Development Debate. I'm Tamanna Inamdar. A few years ago, if I talked about the impact and concern of artificial intelligence and the fears that one day artificial intelligence could be a threat to humanity, it would seem like I'm reading from a script of a fictional movie. But this is the reality of our times. Yesterday, in the United States of America, top tech bosses, including the CEOs of Microsoft Satya Nadella, Google Sundar Pichai, OpenAI Sam Altman, were all summoned to the White House for an emergency meeting with the US President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris. They were told in no uncertain terms that they must protect the public from the dangers of artificial intelligence or AI. This urgent meeting comes amidst alarming reports about the unrestricted growth and potential subversive powers of artificial intelligence. While the US prepares to put regulations in place to control the unfettered growth of AI and the advancements in technology that private companies are doing right now, the rising threat is quite palpable, and the first hit is possibly going to be on job losses. IBM has already said just a few days ago that they plan to replace more than 8,000 jobs with artificial intelligence. So, is it going to be just a hit on jobs? Frankly, that's not the only threat. The threat is also about things ranging from deep fakes, impersonations of celebrities or important people. Imagine an AI pretending to be a head of state and sending out threats which could then cause war. Things like that. And like I said, this may have seemed like a script from a science fiction movie a few years ago, but right now it's a very, very real problem in the here and now. On the other side of the coin is the fact that AI is technology. No one can stop the advent of technology, and we need to grow with it. So where does one draw the line? Can we really wait around for a technology this powerful to be in the hands of only the private sector, whose main purpose and goal, of course, will be profitability? Does government need to step in? What does this do for jobs? Are concepts like universal basic income back on the table? So much to unpack, and which is why we're choosing to discuss this evening. Joining me is Jaideep Keval Ramani, COO and Head of Employability at Teamlease at Tech. Ankush Sabarwal, founder and CEO of CoRova, is with me on the show. I'm also speaking today with K. Yatish Rajawat, founder and Center for Innovation in Public Policy. Welcome to all of you, and thank you so much for joining us on the India Development Debate. Mr. Rajawat, I want to begin with your take on the startling developments last evening. Right now, this was all in the realm of speculation, opinion. A group of very, very influential people, including Elon Musk, had written an open letter, have made demands that let's put a pause to all research and development on AI till we figure out what to do with it. It didn't seem like anyone is listening. Clearly, people are listening.
Yeah, but I won't read too much into a White House meeting because, at the end of that meeting, the White House didn't promise that they will come out with a law or they will come out with a regulation. White House has typically always failed to address any issue which is technology-led because most of these companies are fortunately or unfortunately based out of US, and these are US companies which are basically leading this AI issue. The issue that, of course, in front of us is not just the development of AI, but the impact that AI has on jobs. We've seen an erosion of almost 1 million jobs in India, call center jobs to chatbots itself. We have seen Goldman Sachs estimate that 300 million jobs worldwide will be lost to AI. 300 million is the population of the whole of US. This is the kind of impact AI is going to have on jobs. That's just one aspect. AI is already manipulating our minds. We have AI engines running on Facebook. We have AI engines running on Twitter. We have AI engines running on almost all social media platforms and on all search and email platforms. And they're already making our minds soaked with dopamine. Most of our younger generation is facing high anxiety and depression because of this dopamine addiction.
Sorry, is that
There
all
is no
AI? Is
clear
that all
demarcation.
AI? Yatish, is that all
It
AI?
is. It is.
Because there's social media, there is so many other factors. Are we?
So the algorithm behind social media, Tamanna, is all AI. I mean, the reason you see the continuous one particular kind of information which you like all the time, the reason that you see those echo chambers magnifying itself is because of the algorithm, and the algorithm is customized to you, and there's an artificial engine behind it which is customizing it to you. So, I mean, AI is already affecting not only just our life, it is affecting our minds. So let's not, and it's not happening now. It's been happening for the last 7 to 10 years. So this is not a new phenomenon. Only thing is now it has reached a scale that it is affecting almost a generation of people. So, and there is no regulations to prevent or oppose it. Everybody keeps talking about that regulation, but nobody talks about that it is data which has to be controlled. These AI engines should not be allowed to access or use data which is generated by private individuals. And we cannot wait for a law to happen or the parliament or the legislation to be passed for that, because we've seen that there are lobbies which prevent these laws to be passed. There are lobbies which vitiate the narrative completely towards the side that AI is important for India and AI for Bharat, and the Indian government decides to spend some $140
I
million.
have been seeing, I have been
These are
seeing,
all
I
side
have been
shows.
seeing government department handles talking about how AI is great for Ayurveda. I was not very sure how it is great for Ayurveda, but apparently AI is great for Ayurveda too. But you know what? This isn't an India story. Let's be honest. We've started the story from what happened in the White House yesterday. Why are we talking about it? Because this is going to spread, and frankly, like Yatish has said, has already spread like wildfire across the globe. Technology knows no borders. The internet knows no borders. And there is no way to sort of cage this in legislature without joint action. I want to come back to the very, very real and immediate question. Like Yatish said, AI has been around. All your social media engines showing you what you want is, in a sense, AI. Jaideep, right now the alarm bells are ringing also because of the jobs. And that's the concern. When a chat GPT came, and I remember covering this story a few months ago when it first came, and everyone was very amused that whatever prompt you put in, pat comes the reply. It was like a little magic trick. But a few months down the line, the conversation has turned into threats of something much more sinister.
Well, Tamanna, first of all, thank you for inviting me over. And you are right. This is the real core of why this is happening. I mean, let's look at a quick timeline of how the events have unfolded. I mean, before ChatGPT, AI was available, it was being used, you were a consumer of that. But ChatGPT really opened up and made it a more democratic access to artificial intelligence. And the wide use cases of that have created ripples amongst the communities, like the creative artists or people who are in the media or writers or the junior jobs and coding and so on and so forth. Let's not forget next year it's the election year in the US, and therefore a lot of it is rhetoric, trying to present that, hey, we are this thing. I mean, the Writers Guild in the US is trying to lay restrictions on why AI should not be used to mimic their art and produce scripts. I mean, this creates a larger issue, but last week the European Parliament passed its first law against artificial intelligence, or trying to curb it. To elevate the matters a little bit, let's think about it from an issue of ethics, governance, compliance, and risk management. If we get this into perspective, any technology, no matter, I mean, what you think of it, whether it's artificial intelligence or anything that was disruptive like this, requires these four pillars to keep the misuse in check. And of course, it should not impinge upon people's intellectual property. I mean, we know a very popular case in India was that the court put a restriction on you cannot use Amitabh Bachchan's voice or his images without permission. I mean, that's intellectual property and that should be honored. Similarly, if a writer has certain traits of writing a script and so on, I mean, that should be marked as intellectual property, and those AI tools should have sufficient guardrails to prevent mimicking that. I think that kind of falls into the borders of intellectual property and ethics. So one has to look at it from a larger context of what's happening in terms of the US elections, the potential job losses, impinging on intellectual property, and then take a more weighted view. Sure, do we want regulations? Do we want frameworks to keep things under check? The answer is yes. But this should not be seen as a knee-jerk reaction, but more thoughtful. And India came up with its artificial intelligence policy well before the world took cognizance of this potential. And I think a more progressive,
what is the
positive
policy
approach
you're
to
referring
technology
to?
is important.
No, what is the policy you're referring to?
So the India AI initiative brings together the entire ecosystem of innovators, users, companies, and therefore there is a mechanism by which the government is also engaging with all of these stakeholders in figuring out the use cases of artificial intelligence. And that's a progressive approach that I'm referring to that is required rather than put curbs on.
That's a grouping. That's the AI club. And the government
Right.
speaking to the AI club. That's hardly policy making. My point is, and you know, this is how it's being compared. AI as technology in its impact and import is today being compared to nuclear technology, which no one lets a private company just build, utilize, and commercialize without very tight government, national, and international control, because that's the kind of impact it can have. Now, Yatish, the question is are we panicking? Are we panicking? Or, is it time to take a more closer approach? Sorry, yes.
I think we should panic faster because it's like a meta crisis. And a meta crisis, which is based on an exponential technology, we're not panicking enough. We are actually being very sang-froid about this whole issue. We feel that this is technology like any other. This will, at the end of the day, be beneficial to humanity. I've seen research reports, which say that 45,000 jobs will be created because of AI, which doesn't even mention that, we've lost 1 million jobs to just chatbots, and we're going to lose another 1 million jobs in design and graphic design and animation to, stable diffusion. So I think not only should we hit the panic button, we should actually immediately come out with some kind of a digital public good, which actually controls all large platforms using Indian citizens' data. We need to revive the data sovereignty of Indians, and we should prevent data being used by these engines, because that's the only way to curb the presence and the use of these AI engines in India. We can start with that, and then maybe if the world thinks that is the right approach, and like we've seen in case of Google tax, the world generally follows what India does. Even in case of cryptocurrency, we were the first country which taxed the crypto at transaction level. We need to lead the debate on this, and we need to begin as of yesterday.
Let's be honest, the companies creating the technology are not Indian.
That is the whole thing, but they're using Indian data. So you cannot control these companies, but you can control their access to data.
Okay. I want to introduce to the discussion, I think he's come in at the right point, Ankush Sabarwal, founder and CEO of Core Rover. Ankush, you missed some of the conversation, and let me just sum it up for you and the viewers. So there are two views on the panel right now. One is that we should have started panicking about the role of AI as of yesterday, and another view that it's going to be fine. It's technology that's here to stay. I'm assuming you're on that side. You think AI is the next hot sauce?
Absolutely. It's a new tech, right? So when a new thing comes, I think you remember when the calculators came, I think the same kind of debates used to come in. But I'm a technologist. I'm also a user. I strongly believe, yes, things would be all right I think I was just hearing the previous panelist. I think the safety net, of course, have to be provided. I believe there are four things I think which we need to consider to have the safety net to put these AI platforms and the products in place. I think four pillars. The first one is, of course, the explainability, right? So from where the data is coming, how it's being trained, how it's being kind of modeled, how the algorithms are working on the data, so that if there is any biasness, I'm sure there is biasness in AI systems, not intentional maybe, but based on the data, because of the data, from where the data is coming. The explainability is important so that if there is any biasness, users should be aware. I think the second pillar is, again, which is much talked about, is the data, responsible use of data. Right, what we are collecting, what we are sharing with others, have we taken the consent from the user or not? The third is the good purpose to use, right? Any platform product we are using, the purpose should be very clearly
1 minute,
defined.
Ankush, what is the good purpose? Why do I need AI in my life? What is the problem it's solving?
Absolutely right. If you see, right, one is, if I think the day we start with apps and whatever recommendation is shown to me, right, it's good for me. But if the recommendation is shown to me with AI system, which is helping someone else and is helping me or otherwise to influence my buying decision, right? So there can be two kind of recommendation engine. One, hey, this is your personality, I think you should buy this product. I'll not mind getting that recommendation. But if someone wants to force me, say, hey, you should buy me without my, any characteristics showing for me, and if I see that product again and again, so I might be influenced to buy that. Right? This is something I would say. This is a system which
You're
probably
describing the reality. You're describing the present world. And I still haven't got an answer to my question, how is AI helping me? I'm asking in all honestness. I'm not taking sides. I want to understand from everyone, what is the problem that AI is solving? Is it solving problems of disease, war, world peace, hunger? What is the problem that it's solving? Okay, Yatish wants to come in. Yes.
So, this is the basic challenge of addressing AI. Because it is doing so many things, and comparing AI with calculator is like comparing a spare with a nuclear fission. You cannot compare these two. And saying that good purpose and ethics is intangible. Humans have not been able to understand and appreciate ethics. How do we expect a super intelligence to appreciate ethics? How do we define good purpose when it is not defined by humans themselves? So, these are ways to deviate and, basically distort the objectives, which should be very clear, which should be that data has to be controlled for AI. All platforms that are using AI engines need to take permission and consent. Therefore, consent is, if I were to kind of rename those four pillars, consent is the first pillar. Second is no manipulation. That means no manipulation of dopamine, no methodology used to persuade me to buy, sell, use, or change my behavior. Three, no, it should have negligible impact on any job. If it does, then it should compensate. The company that is using it has to compensate for it in some manner or the other. If an AI engine like Stable Diffusion is leading to loss of animation jobs, then Stable Diffusion is responsible for creating a trust fund where those jobs losses are compensated for it. The responsibility should not be with the government; it should be with the corporates. That's how you bring in responsibility. The fourth element is that data ownership in this whole space. I've seen AI engine using Modi's video on their Twitter handle saying that Modi is the prime minister of this country, is sponsoring or approving my engine. Now, these are things which should not be allowed per se.
So
But,
that's
we've
a
lost
criminal
it
act.
complete.
Impersonation, falsehoods is a criminal act. We're talking about the technology here. Now, I want to come to another point. Yatish is saying that it should be consensual. People should know what they're using. People are signing up in droves. ChatGPT increased its user base between February and March by 55%. They have 1.16 billion users. in less than a year of their existence. It's the fastest growing app people have known. People are signing up. They don't care about these issues that Yatish is talking about, and that's the other part of it. Do they care about animation jobs, writing jobs that are going? No. People are using it for things to write their dating profiles, to respond to texts, to write emails to clients. So it's a tool which is already being widely used. Can you shut the stable doors after the horse is bolted? I'm going to come to Jaideep on this.
So, Tamanna, before I answer this one, I'd like to add to your question that you asked earlier. I think let's look at it in a positive way. This technology is democratizing access to information, therefore enabling you to be more productive, and therefore enabling you to focus on more value-added activities rather than the base. I mean, while this video conferencing technology is robbing all of us of sharing a cup of coffee in the same room, but it has made life more convenient, and that's what newer technologies will help us do. But you're right. Once this technology is out, there is no pulling it back. One can only evolve on that, make sure it is safe, it doesn't cause harm to anyone. We need regulators, we need the right frameworks, but we need to also ensure that all the positives of it are available to everyone. Yes, there would be some jobs that would be impacted, but reskilling and upskilling, reinventing yourself is going to be extremely important. I'm very closely working with a lot of industry and academia partners, and I'm seeing that both the sides are developing newer programs for people to learn this new skill and hone this. So it is not just opening an app and fumbling around with it. There is a lot of science being developed on it, methods, tools, frameworks that are emerging. Experts are working on it. And I think with the right amount of structure, frameworks, and governance, we should be able to put this utility in great hands.
Quick question, please, Jaideep. I've been hearing this for a while, reskill, upskill, but what does that mean? If software can do my job, then do I have to become someone else? If I'm an animator and a software can animate better than me, quicker than me, of course cheaper, doesn't take loo breaks or coffee breaks, doesn't fall sick, doesn't need a PF, doesn't need X number of holidays a day. So what else do I become? So it's easy to just say reskill or upskill, but countries around the world are seriously talking about universal basic income now.
True. So, I mean, I will not get into the realms of universal basic income and link it to this, but you are right. There are opportunities to upskill and reskill. Let's take a easier example, something like a blog writer. I mean, while tools like this can produce blogs very easily, the value add that a blog writer can now add is the context and spend more time on making that blog relevant to the users rather than just typing 1,000 words on. Or the example you took of an animator, the basic animation can come in, and the nuances of the quality control of it, making the figures more interactive to the humans, those are the kind of value add activities. It allows people to upskill to jobs that they probably would have taken a few years to get into. So that's the upskilling I'm talking about.
Yatish wants to come in very quickly. Just a quick point. It's like a pyramid. You want to go up the pyramid in skill, but then there's less and less space there.
So you cannot teach somebody who is a voice call worker in a call center machine learning and make him an artificial intelligence engineer. You cannot teach a medical image specialist to become better at his job, which takes 8 to 10 years, to identify a cancer which an artificial intelligence engine can do it in seconds. You cannot explain it to an instructional designer, an educational instruction designer, to automate a video from text in seconds. No instructional designer in this world can do it as fast and as quickly. An instructional designer can certainly not become an engineer. You cannot train an educational researcher to become, something else. So, this reskilling and upskilling, these are nice sounding words. but they don't work in real life. What happens in real life is that a section of jobs are lost. People who lose their jobs don't ever find new jobs, and they remain out of the system. They go out of the system. What happens? What happens when they go out of the system? Crime rises, social unrest begins. And we've already started seeing that. India has become a center for call center frauds. Why? Because all the voice call centers in this country have shut down. When you say that reduce a call center which used to have 1,000 people is reduced to 10 people who are working. So, look at the scale, 990 jobs lost. So, we must understand the scale here. And we must appreciate that this is moving too fast, even for the engineers to understand it. Even they don't understand, especially for AGI engines,
Okay, I have run out of time, so I have to wrap this up. But I think this is a fascinating discussion. I don't know if someday artificial intelligence will take over this role of, bringing all of these points together. But as of now, we are the ones adding that input. The fact is that it's technology, it's here to stay. Maybe we need to push the brake a little till we understand what it really means. Thank you to all of you for joining us today on the India Development Debate. Very short break here, but we're coming right back. Stay tuned.